Moving to a new city has become one of the biggest decisions people are making across America, especially young professionals and remote workers chasing a lower cost of living, more space, and a real shot at building something new. And with so many cities competing for new residents, the real question isn't which place has the best marketing, it's which place actual people are choosing with their feet. Hey guys, I'm Jack. What's up? And welcome back to the channel. Before we dive in, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest videos. Now let's get started. In this video, we're looking at the 10 American cities everyone is moving to in 2026 based on real inbound data, not just the ones getting the most views online. Some of these names are going to surprise you. And by the end, you'll see why the cities that dominate social media aren't always the ones growing the fastest in reality. Let's break it down. Number 10, Salt Lake City, Utah. Salt Lake City has transitioned from a picturesque mountain destination to a premier economic powerhouse. Its job market is exceptionally versatile. While the tech sector is booming, earning it the nickname Silicon Slopes, the city is also seeing quiet wins in healthcare, logistics, and finance. In 2025, it was even ranked as the most AI-ready city in America, reflecting its forward-thinking infrastructure. And the city is praised for being clean, organized, and efficiently managed, making it a favorite for both families and career-driven professionals. Despite this success, Salt Lake City has faced challenges. While overall crime has recently hit an 8-year low, certain metrics remain above the national average. However, this has not slowed its momentum. Housing is a significant draw, with median prices stabilizing around $522,000 to $550,000, a welcome plateau after years of rapid appreciation. For those seeking a metro that says yes to opportunity when others are scaling back, Salt Lake City is a top contender. This is evidenced by an 18.3% surge in moving-related searches as people flock to a city that balances outdoor access with serious economic growth. Number 9, Knoxville, Tennessee. Everyone thinks Tennessee migration means Nashville, and Nashville does fine, but the real standout isn't the city getting the headlines, it's the one barely making any noise at all. Knoxville consistently ranks among the strongest metros in the country for inbound to outbound migration. In simple terms, far more people are moving in than moving out. And in today's environment, that matters more than it used to. Interstate moves across the U.S. have been falling year after year. Fewer people are relocating at all, which means the ones who do are making more intentional decisions. So when a city like Knoxville continues to post strong inflow numbers anyway, it's not riding a national trend, it's moving against it. That's the key distinction, because most places are either benefiting from momentum or struggling against it. Knoxville is doing neither. It's quietly outperforming in a period when movement itself is slowing down. And what makes it even more interesting is what's not happening here. There's no national branding push, no influencer buzz, no social media cycle driving attention, but it keeps showing up in the data anyway. And that pattern, low visibility, high inflow, shows up more than once on this list. Number 8, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tulsa is one of those cities most people couldn't confidently place on a map if you gave them a blank one, but the migration data tells a very different story. It consistently posts one of the strongest move-in to move-out ratios in the country, right alongside places like Knoxville. And unlike the usual migration hotspots, Tulsa isn't winning because of weather, coastline, or lifestyle branding. It's winning on cost, but not just cheap compared to big cities, cheap, real affordability, the kind where housing, space, and day-to-day living still feel structurally accessible, not just relatively less expensive. That difference matters more now than it did a few years ago. Because migration isn't as frequent as it used to be, people aren't moving every time a new trend appears on social media. And when they do move, it's usually a slower, more calculated decision. Housing costs, remote work flexibility, and long-term stability. And Tulsa is built for that exact decision-making process. There's no hype cycle here, no rapid identity shifts, no rush of speculative growth pricing people out of the same places they just moved into. Just steady inflow driven by simple economics. And that's why it keeps showing up in the same category as cities that get 10 times the attention. Number 7, Bend, Oregon. Bend is what happens when an REI catalog becomes a municipality. It's gorgeous in that unfair Instagram filter way, with mountains in every direction, trails everywhere, and a downtown that smells like pine trees and disposable income. A lot of people I know when I worked at Netflix moved down to Bend. When they usually hit around 30, they're like, I don't want to do Portland anymore. And they head to Bend. Now, Bend is actually getting flooded with a lot of Californians and really anyone that's got money that doesn't feel like moving to Jackson, Wyoming, but remote workers show up, laptops, dogs, and strong opinions about coffee. They also feel like they've cracked the code of life. And honestly, for a while, they're right. It's clean, safe, and loaded with breweries that all claim to have the best one in town. The only catch is housing, which has gone from a little pricey to tech billionaires buying the zip code. People move here for a lifestyle and stay because emotionally and financially, they're now trapped in a very scenic snow globe. Bend has seen moving-related searches go up 17.1%. Number 6, Raleigh, North Carolina. North Carolina has quietly become one of the biggest migration magnets in the country. But the interesting part isn't just that people are moving there, it's why Raleigh specifically keeps absorbing so much of it. Raleigh isn't dependent on a single growth engine. It sits at the intersection of three: a major research university ecosystem, a growing tech presence, and a biotech sector that has been expanding for years. Most fast-growing cities rely on one of those. Raleigh has all three. That matters because migration today is less about temporary opportunity and more about long-term stability. People aren't just chasing jobs, they're trying to reduce risk. And Raleigh's structure naturally spreads that risk across industries. If one sector cools, the others still hold. There's also a quieter factor that doesn't show up in most rankings in proximity-based migration. More people are moving to be closer to family or to stay within a reasonable range of existing networks rather than relocating across the country for a new employer. Raleigh fits that pattern perfectly. It's large enough to offer opportunity, but not so extreme in cost or scale that it feels like a total reset. So while other cities spike and flatten, Raleigh keeps doing something more valuable over time. It compounds. Number 5, Boise, Idaho. Boise is one of the clearest examples of how regional migration patterns can reshape an entire state. Idaho has been one of the fastest growing states in the country for multiple years, and Boise sits right at the center of that movement. What makes Boise different from earlier pandemic boom cities is that its growth didn't collapse once the remote work hype cooled. Instead, it stabilized. That's important because a lot of places saw short-term spikes driven by temporary conditions. Boise's growth, by contrast, has been more consistent and structurally tied to long-term preferences. The first is geography. The Mountain West has become one of the most desirable regions in the country for people who want space, access to nature, and lower density living without fully disconnecting from urban infrastructure. The second is diversification. Boise isn't just a lifestyle destination. Its economy includes healthcare and a growing tech presence, which gives it a stronger base than typical resort-adjacent cities. And the third is timing. As housing costs and traditional migration hubs continue to rise, Boise is no longer competing against empty space, it's competing against expensive alternatives. That shifts the equation from why move there to why not. And once a city crosses that threshold, migration becomes self-reinforcing. That's what the data has been showing for years now. Number 4, Minneapolis, Minnesota. For decades, the Midwest was treated as a region people were supposed to leave. Population outflows, shrinking relevance, and steady migration toward the coast or the Sun Belt became the default assumption. But Minneapolis is one of the first major signs that the pattern is no longer stable. For the first time in recent data cycles, Minnesota appeared on a major national inbound migration list after years of consistent outflow pressure. Minneapolis itself also entered the upper tier of growth metros, marking a structural shift rather than a temporary fluctuation. What changed is not one single factor, but a convergence. Housing costs in traditional Sunbelt migration hubs rose sharply over the past several years, narrowing the affordability gap that once made those cities automatic winners. At the same time, Midwest metros retained a cost structure that didn't inflate at the same speed, but cost alone doesn't explain the reversal. Minneapolis also brings something that many fast-growing metros lack: economic stability through institutional industries. Healthcare, education, and corporate services form a base that doesn't swing as dramatically with boom and bust cycles. There's also a lifestyle correction happening after years of migration toward warmer climates. A portion of movers are reassessing long-term livability factors like infrastructure, seasonality, and urban consistency. Minneapolis sits directly inside that reassessment. And unlike trend-driven cities, this shift is not dependent on hype cycles. It is showing up in the data across multiple categories at once. That's what makes it significant. It isn't an outlier, it's a signal. Number 3, Indianapolis, Indiana. Indianapolis is another point where the broader Midwest pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Like Minneapolis, it has moved from net domestic outflow to net inflow in recent cycles, marking a reversal in long-standing migration trends that defined the region for decades. But what makes Indianapolis particularly important is that it isn't alone. Surrounding cities in Indiana, including smaller metros and suburban hubs, have also begun appearing on national housing market and growth lists at the same time. That matters because migration rarely shifts evenly. When multiple cities in the same state begin showing similar patterns, it suggests a structural change rather than a localized anomaly. The core driver is affordability, but not in the simplistic sense. It's not just about cheaper housing. It's about the return of financial predictability. As high-growth Sunbelt cities experience rapid price acceleration, the gap between cheap and expensive regions began to compress in practical terms. That changed how migration decisions are made. Instead of chasing maximum growth, more people began prioritizing stability, space, and long-term affordability. Indianapolis fits that framework well. It offers strong access to healthcare, manufacturing, logistics, and corporate operations without the volatility associated with overheated housing markets. It also benefits from its geography. Positioned centrally within the country, it captures both regional migration and corporate distribution advantages. What emerges is not a flashy boomtown, but a steady absorber of long-term population movement. And when you zoom out, Indianapolis becomes less of a standalone case and more of a confirmation point for a much larger regional shift. Number 2, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Myrtle Beach posts a 3.88 to 1 inbound to outbound migration ratio, the highest of any city measured in the United States. That means for every one person leaving, nearly 4 are moving in. That alone would make it notable, but the broader context makes it even more unusual. South Carolina as a whole is the fastest growing state in the country, outperforming even traditionally dominant migration states like Texas and Florida in percentage growth. What's driving this is a mix of affordability, lifestyle migration, and climate preference. But unlike earlier migration eras, this wave is less about job relocation and more about lifestyle recalibration. A growing share of movers are retirees, remote workers, and semi-mobile households who are optimizing for cost of living and quality of life rather than proximity to a specific employer. Myrtle Beach fits that exact profile. It is not competing as a tech hub or financial center. It is competing as a destination where financial stretch goes further while maintaining coastal access. There's also a regional contrast emerging in coastal migration patterns. While some high-cost coastal areas are experiencing net outflows, parts of the South Carolina coast continue to absorb population growth. That divergence is important. It suggests that coastal living itself is not declining. Only expensive coastal markets are losing share. Number 1, Ocala, Florida. Florida's migration story is often told through Miami, Orlando, or Tampa, but the data points elsewhere entirely. Ocala has ranked as the number 1 U-Haul growth city in the United States multiple times in recent years, including back-to-back periods at the top. And it is not the most famous Florida city, but it is one of the most consistently dominant in the inbound movement. At the same time, Florida as a state added nearly 200,000 new residents in a single year, making it one of the strongest population growth engines in the country. But there is an important shift underneath that headline. Florida is no longer uniformly dominated by inbound migration at the same intensity it once was. The state has moved closer to a balanced inflow-outflow pattern in recent data cycles, meaning growth is still strong but more distributed and selective. That's where Ocala becomes important. It captures the portion of migration that is not targeting luxury coastal living or high-cost metros. Instead, it attracts retirees, remote workers, and families who are optimizing for affordability within Florida rather than prestige locations. It represents a second layer of Florida migration, less visible, less branded, but highly consistent. Unlike Miami, which operates on global visibility and cultural amplification, Ocala operates almost entirely through structural demand. It doesn't need attention cycles to sustain growth. And that makes it a different kind of signal because it shows that even within one of the fastest growing states in the country, migration is becoming more segmented, more cost sensitive, and more distributed across less obvious cities, which is why Ocala continues to outperform expectations year after year. When you look at it, the pattern is clear. Austin, Nashville, and Miami did grow fast, but they no longer define the full migration story. In several cases, they're not even leading it anymore. What stands out now is a quieter shift. The Midwest stabilizing after decades of decline, diversified economies outperforming single growth boomtowns, and affordability consistently winning over hype. Drop a comment on which city surprised you most and subscribe for the next breakdown.